Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're taking a look at facts and fiction. This channel in particular has been one that is very much recommended to me often, and with good reason. I actually think that they have a couple of very interesting topics that I don't see many channels do. I'm not saying they're the only one, but they're the one that pops up the most frequently or is the most recommended so far in my comments. And this one in particular was voted on by Patreon. It is when fans disagree with judges. So I do know this one's in more context to more recent type of dance survival shows in Korea, and I know they tailor more towards the K-pop realm. I did read the description of the channel, so I'm very much kind of in the understanding of what this channel has to offer, and I'm very excited about this, and I'm hopeful that we see eye to eye on a lot of it, and if not, then maybe I'll learn something new in this process too. So let's go ahead and take a watch. Toxic comments were the more internet popular dancer lost the battle. Please check them out, but there's no point in starting an argument with the comments. I purposely left out the names. Hold on, we're going too fast. I gotta read and process. Purposely left out the names of the negative comments that I criticize. Support for all the dancers, the events, and your thoughts are always welcome, but there's no need to make those comment sections there even more toxic. Yes, we got some toxic people. We got some toxicity that can happen in comments of battles full show. They're all international, well-known events. All the dancers are professionals and considered good at their style. Suzanne versus Sarah. Finals winner was Suzanne. The comment section disappointed me, considering the frequent use of the words like killing points. I believe that some of them are from the K-pop Street Woman Fighter fans. Often have said such comments, Lip J versus Essence recently too. Okay, gotcha. I like that they cite their source on kind of the reference on some of the reasoning. I am a fan of that. Pause to read. I am pausing. 223, she wasn't whacking. From 416, she wasn't whacking. They actually called time, but she was still going. She only did about 3 short whacking moves, and the rest of it was her singing and freestyling. At 6:33, they called time again. She kept going, but wasn't even whacking, just singing the song again and kind of flailing around. I wouldn't really call it freestyling. It also felt like Suzanne was attempting moves she'd never tried before, but it made her look more inexperienced. No shade. It looked like how a kid performs in their room, in my opinion. Now, I have not seen this battle, so I cannot put my 2 cents in on it. I only saw an excerpt based on what the video showed. And, you know, I do think that some of the verbiage of this I feel could be a little bit more refined, but I understand this is definitely not a like bashing comment that in comparison to some other ones that I've seen, but it's definitely not the best either. Okay, the lineup for the Whacking Festival is intense. I've seen the list myself and know great dancers, for which I've learned a lot, who did not make it past the pre-selection. That's true. Sometimes really high caliber competitions, a lot of really good dancers sometimes don't make it past prelims. Considering the outcome is completely fine, but suggesting that someone made it to finals of this event with decisions from the judge panel despite being somehow bad at whacking. Maybe the commentator does not know what whacking is, as the official channel from Eleganza also replied. Okay, so I can understand that too. But also remember as well that with battles, you're supposed to isolate what you see in the battle. I do know whenever you have a tournament bracket style competition where you see an individual go from prelims to top 32 to top 16 to top 8, top 4, top 2, there's a more creative stamina that is asked of you, because you can't keep doing the same not fingerprints of movements, but the same movements that are what makes you iconic in the sense of who you are, because it can potentially come across as not as creative. So does the comment specifically reference the isolated battle? They did use time codes and they did talk about what happened in the round specifically. Did I think that they, I mean, I think some of their broad descriptions of one of the people in the battle did come across very broad, like they had no business being in finals. But once again, I had not seen the video, so I can kind of see some of their feedback was tailored towards the specific battle is what it looked like, but then some of it felt that it was not. So I understand this viewpoint for sure of, you know, because even it says that Eleganza also replied, which is the ones who put on the event, that I believe the footage came from their YouTube as well, despite being somehow bad at whacking. So what they're saying is that I agree, and I agree with them. Disagreeing with the outcome is absolutely fine, but it's all in about how you choose to present your perspective. You want to come across cordial, you do want to come across respectful as well, you know, and especially if I don't compete in whacking, you know, and I understand there's certain toolkits. I analyze content, I analyze dance. I do, and I do that a lot, and I've always done that, and it's helped me study for certifications and those types of things. So it's a really great toolkit and skill set that I have grown to love and enjoy even before doing YouTube. I just get to do it more often because of YouTube, so that's a fun thing. But going back to this, analyzing content, there is a way, like just like for me, I've had to learn quickly, whenever there is a disagreement, you have to be mindful in how you choose to justify it. Even for me, my justification of some of my outcomes may not seem as effective in comparison to other feedback that was given at the result of the battle. And I think that's absolutely fine, because there are certain discrepancies depending on criteria for battles with those judges that I feel that are in the eye of the beholder sometimes. It just kind of depends on what the criteria of that battle was. I wasn't there, I didn't see the battle, so I can't attest to any of that. So I'm very much a spectator on this particular video, but it's actually really exciting. They make very valid points, and it's true. Disagreeing is completely fine. Suggesting that someone made it to finals somehow bad at whacking, I agree with that. I don't think that was the most effective approach in a comment to make that kind of decision, because you're discrediting the competition for hiring those judges to be the adjudicators for the event. It's like you're questioning your judge's choice, that kind of stuff, you know. You're allowed to have an opinion too, you know. So I totally understand this mindset for sure. Whacking has always been close to acting and performing. Inspiration came from classic Hollywood divas, martial arts films, and drag, among many other inspirations. Okay. Always been unconventional. No way for people to freely express themselves. And specifically, I also want to know, not just LGBT culture, but minority men LGBTQ. Like that culture. It's not like that sometimes gets left out too. It's the minority men of America. LGBT culture. Shame someone for looking immature and someone is not tolerating the community at all. The dancers don't have to look elegant or graceful or hold back their emotions. I wonder, I will say this though, if they're talking about making it feel, it could stem from, there is a sense of how they're choosing to walk is different in the approach of how they're hitting some of their variations. I think it's different, but it's more refined to the fingerprints of this particular whacker. I hadn't seen the full round, so I don't know the full context of the entire round, you know, so I can't really attest to this as much as I feel like I could. Powerful dancers like Ibuki or elegant line-focused details. Dancers like Lip J are both very successful battlers in mainstream too. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing Ibuki in Street Dance China a lot right now, so I totally understand that. Drama, acting, rhythm, based, extravagant whackers are not considered to be doing less whacking just because they don't always focus on lines. They are close to the original style of whacking and monkey. I understand that, yeah. The movement of whacking was named after is the flowing motion measured through confetti, not the lines. Of course, it's part of the whacking battle. Dancer essence. Actually, don't understand the power of hype, because girl. Let's turn her on. She was just flying around. Oof. In the last round, for the reason of the competition of Bohemian Rhapsody was great. I was even know the song very well. I'll have to know the music and nailing performance aspect of the battles or technique evaluation can bring the win. Okay, I understand this. So they said, there's a certain part I want to point out though. It says often know the music and alien performance aspect, because no battles or not a technique evaluation can bring the win. That goes back to if you talk to Wiggles about battles, he's gonna have a very different approach to what kind of toolkit is being evaluated for a battle. It's different than a cypher or anything like that. And also with whacking, it didn't originate as battles. It originated as a social environment. You know, it's different than hip hop. It's different than Vogue even. It's different than Crump. All of them have different cultures and communities and how it was incepted. You know, I think the person in charge of this channel, they're really doing their due diligence and they're doing a great job of really citing. And whackers also do a very good job of bringing history and bringing awareness to the educational side of whacking. And I've always been so thankful for that, because I end up learning a lot more in that process too when I hear fellow colleagues, you know, just be able to express their passion for their style they're very confident in. And so I guess here, because no battles are not a technique evaluation, I would say technique is a facet, but it's not the main it's not the main thing to focus on. Just like choreography, performance isn't everything. Performance matters, but yes, and it can have a heavier weight on your adjudication and how you judge choreography, but the skills also matter, the synchronicity, the levels, the dynamics, the spacing, the staging. So like, I agree, it's not just technique evaluation. You can't neglect technique, but you shouldn't just be technique either, because you'll be lacking in essence and individuality and not your own voice, which is one of the key, that's more pivotal and more important to whacking than are you good at the techniques. So I think that's what they were saying here, is that it's not just are you competent in doing the actual technique. What this channel is referencing is it's battles are not just that, you know, and I agree with that. And you're going to have judges, hopefully, in these circuits where they also understand that too, because they're in the culture and community. I like the music too. Check the battle link below. Yeah, and also look at the audience as well. You can kind of tell some of the choices. Why was Suzanne allowed to dance longer? Why would you want to interpret this performance during the last round? Just before the highlight of the music. Yeah, that's also true too. Judges know too that you shouldn't let, like, when somebody's timer goes out, if they keep going, you should technically let that affect your overall scoring. So, but I can understand like the strictness of the timing. It's really hard to make sure everybody gets the same amount of time when not everybody has the same opportunities within their music. And I think I actually touched on that. It was a battle between, I think it was Lip J and Peanut, specifically from Street Woman Fighter, that I talked about that, is that sometimes if you go first or second, it may depend on what part of the track you're going to get. And it also depends on how well your DJ operates that music too. Do they allow you the same timbre opportunities or the same musicality opportunities like the first person had, you know? And that's just all. It just depends on the event, you know? Always depends on the event. I don't know this event very well at all, so I'm not going to sit here and attest to anything in affiliation with it. I'm just going to stay a spectator and observe. And so I think they make very, very great points. So that was actually a great build. I like that. Often everyone is exhausted during the finals of big events, the dancers and the rest of the audience as well. It's incredible to end on such a note and with this atmosphere. I can pretty much agree with that to a certain extent, because I'm going to be honest, some of the best battles that happen at events don't happen in finals. They happen in semis or in top 8, top 16. Like in most battles that I've like seen, participated in back in my like early adult life, I did some time in participating in battles. Like, some of the best battles are not your finals. Sometimes it's your judge showcases, like the judge battles, and it's like a top 8, top 16. Because the more refined you get in your lineup, the more like heavy stout your brackets are going to be, and good people are going to get eliminated, you know? And so a good example would be La Twins versus Waxy and Yoonji. Like, that was a freaking great battle, and honestly one of the more popular battles from Fusion 2022, and that was a semi battle, it wasn't finals, you know? So I think that's something important to note. Just like with Waxy and Crown at Red Bull, that battle deemed more popular than Waxy's final round with, I think it was Geo, right? And I reacted to both, so I can attest to that way more accurately. But I think it's I can agree, like, it's incredible to end on a note with that atmosphere in finals. Like, it is harder in finals compared to other rounds. But finals is still a very important time too, so we're not going to discredit that, but I get that. So it's fine to have a preference, but it's possible to state your opinions in a respectful way. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. Alex the Cage versus Larry. Sorry. Battle Bad 2021 Hip Hop Semifinal win, Alex Cage. Semis, Italia, yeah. Woo! Clash of two different approaches. Within hip hop, there are many. Ooh, I like also, can we give kudos to the channel? They took the track and they bled it over into a more appropriate fundamental track to help within the context of what we're watching. And I love that. So that's actually a really great note for the channel. I love that they did that. Within hip hop, there are many, many different personal styles. For example, there are those who focus a lot on flow and groove, and those who focus mostly on beat killing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. The reason Larry lost is that the expectation is greater for him and Lau. If they do not absolutely murder a beat, they lose the round. If someone can just hold their own, not mess up, and not be intimidated, they win the round. It's as simple as that. I feel like the judges were judging based on each other's personal best rather than comparing the two. Now, I will say to this, that is not always the case. It depends on your judges because judges are humans too, depending on the actual competition as well. Because sometimes DJs can totally F over dancers regardless of how good they are, just like DJs and how they mix it. Also, it can be judges if they have a biasness towards what they're watching. You may run into that problem. They're humans. It's going to happen. It has happened. Now, am I saying that happened in this case? I didn't watch the battle, so I can't technically say that. But I can attest to the battle between Yoonji and Waxy versus Le Twins. For them, they said, if we go off of the comment itself, they said Larry lost is because the expectation is greater for them. Well, if you look at Fusion 2022, they won against Waxy and Yoonji, but Waxy and Yoonji didn't mess up. They weren't intimidated. And they held their own. So they technically did these descriptive words that this comment is saying, but they lost. But I already talked through why that may have happened. And no, it's not because of the prop mistake that took place with Yoonji. If anything, she used that to her advantage and captivated her audience more and scored her more points that way with her judges. So the judges were judging based on the dancer's personal best rather than comparing the two. That is also, when you think about judges in battles, is very different than TV show judges. TV show judges, we have learned, they have a more layman perspective, with the exception of knowing that they've done time in the community of the style that they're representing, in the style that they are adjudicating in a battle toolkit. So I agree, this because I know they're probably presenting this critique as a, this is not ideal, this is not appropriate. I agree. This is a very biased perspective, and I know they're trying to have an empathetic lens on Larry and Lau, but I would also counter this and say, don't discredit somebody else's perspective of movement, because technically Larry and Lau, they did innovate within the hip-hop scene, but their style is not the main overly complex. Sometimes less is more, sometimes depending on the track. If he tried to beat kill something that he would have done better not beat killing, then he would have done better. If he vibed and matched the overall aesthetic of the track and did what he needed to do from a creative stamina point, because also note, is he overlapping too many fingerprints? Just like what Olchan was counting on tricks in Street Man Fighter in those battles. If he's overusing fingerprints, now he's very fluent in battles, very competitive in battles, but he loses. He's a human. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have an off day. Sometimes you don't beat kill the way that you want. Sometimes you don't get the track you want. Sometimes the judges are looking for more ebb and flow and fundamentally appropriate context to the track that they're bringing, and maybe he approached it in a different way. Very similar to the previous case that they showed. Sarah did a good job of interpreting the track. I didn't watch it, so I can't fully attest to it, but also I didn't watch this one either. But I can understand, though, that just because somebody holds their own doesn't mean that they automatically win or lose, So all that to say, I agree with the channel. I'm glad that they included this as this is not the best type of comment, because there's a lot of holes in it based on other battles that Larry and Lau have been in. Since beat killing has gone more viral often in the past, many casual viewers are under the impression that it is the highest form of musicality, while hip-hop dancers would usually explain it as one of many types of musicality. Yes, I agree. Yes. That's pretty much, that's very along, this is along the same vein of what I said. Just look at how Larry plays. He plays his style steadily and regularly, deserved the win in the third round. Now, I don't know. Unsurprisingly, with a bigger fan base, there are those fans who just don't want to understand the concept of battles. I get that. These comments are odd considering they each won one round. They had a tiebreak after round 3. If all the judges were fundamentally against one of them, this wouldn't have happened. Yes, some people forget the move showed me everyone was sleeping during Larry's rounds. He should have won the third, but of course the comp will do whatever they can to have more unexpected finale. Oh man, that is interesting. Okay, all right. I mean, they kind of said what they needed to say. Yeah. The other guy, this channel's a little more spicy than I am, but I know I can be a little spicy sometimes. Well known to these actually follow the European hip hop scene. Yeah. The music wasn't great for a strictly... That was what I was saying too. How the DJ mixes the track if they choose to mix, or how the part of the music is supposed to be. Oh, did you see that? If you listen to... You also want to have digestibility in what you bring to the table too. Could incorporate flow in different aspects of the music. Creating one of the biggest strengths, creating many different variations of an idea. Yes, that is more of like that exploration type of, that's more diving. That kind of concept is within freestyle, but it is really good when you do it in battles. The tiebreak. Okay. Oh, I like his commitment through that. That's a big thing too. And I will say from personal experience, it is a lot harder to develop an idea and be content with sitting in that idea and seeing what you can do with it. That's a lot harder to do than you think. Because a lot of us want to go the Larry approach. Now, Larry is one of the top in his field for the style. He's one of the ones who innovated it to make it as prominent as it is. So you can't discredit the twins at all in that. They are very respectable in that regard. But a lot of people try to mimic that because that is what's successful a lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot of the times. But whenever you see here, though, being able to have enough intimacy and fluency within yourself to be able to take an idea and see what you can do with it and allow the music to help refine it, and it's a true collaboration between you and your music, that to me, it's art, you know. But battles are a different toolkit, and it all goes back to who are your adjudicators, who's judging this, and what are the criteria of how they're basing this battle on, because some judges have certain things they look for and certain judges have other things they look for. And so for this thing, there's a good chance the judges were looking for musicality, digestibility, ebb and flow, usage of beat kills done in a different way. I don't know. Remember, I don't know who was judging this, and that's fine. I'm sitting here spectating just like this channel is, and we're having a good time. But I like the fact that they're adding in the points of what are some reasons why he may have won. These two examples are from videos who are each the most viewed on their respective channels, Red Bull BC1 and Summer Dance Forever. And this is a lot newer video, so I wonder if they're going to do this recent year. Yes, dancers from that scene. So why did they go viral? 2017 top 6 East Side and Willie. Very new to this, but sure. Some things are perceived based on how knowledgeable someone is about an art form. Yeah? Okay. This is Red Bull BC1 because it's breaking, not dancer style. Okay. Originality and breaking. But side note, I know dancer style came out starting around 2020. BC1 has been the go-to Red Bull event for dance. So I understand like that. I know I was kind of talking sporadically. Okay. Originality, both stylistically and in a form of signature, unique move sequences developed by an individual dancer. Not repeating. Movement quality of execution are things that are taken into consideration. Yes, I agree with that. Developing, especially in breaking, innovation of techniques is vital. It is vital. Not only do you have to be good, you have to be able to innovate it and make it different all the time. Great example of seeing that get tested is Street Dance China, for sure. Yeah. Well, this performance is what captivated the general public. You can easily imagine it as an epic final battle in a dance movie. Who is this? Willie? Is that who this is? That was a very... Oh, did you see that? He did that little biting move, but I had a feeling that was paying more so like I can do that too, not a I'm making this my own move. So I'm going to equate that to him being like, nah, man, you know, it's kind of like that cordial, not like a how dare you, Due to different reference points, the outcome is very logical to breakers, frequent viewers, but not understandable to casuals who couldn't possibly know what is considered generic and what is highly valued or particularly difficult. Blondie versus Yaya, popping. Oh, I've seen this one! I've seen this one because Yaya does just straight robot in this round. I remember this. I took a look at this because I used this as an example for one of my classes. It was this, and I had a breaking battle, and I had another battle, a house battle, and I had my dancers judge who they thought won, and we talked about it because I'd already looked through and I had analyzed it already for myself. This is pre-YouTube Jess here. This is so cool. The outcome is, again, probably not surprising for anyone familiar with popping battles. I love it. I love her. She's so captivating. But the groove musicality creativity of would be the clear winner for most poppers. Okay. Kite, Juan, Fireback, Guchan, Nelson. Nelson is sick. Kite is more of like that OG kind of poppin' aesthetic, so is Juan. Yo. Oh, if you didn't know this, Nelson, it was for finals for, I think, was it Versus Style? I forgot what it was. It was very recent. I forgot what competition it was. Bless it. Yeah, I know Slim Boogie took the win, but the finals was between Slim Boogie and Nelson for popping. So I hadn't seen it yet. God, I need to see it. Oh, hold on. I missed this final point. Hold on. Yaya appeals more to the general public because they tend to love illusions. In popping battles, however, it's preferred for that to only be one part of the dancing, not the whole round. Otherwise, it can come across as gimmicky. I will say this, she dived more into animation or robot technique strictly in comparison to diving into multiple facets of the popping genre. Now, some OGs in popping would argue the only thing that's popping is the pop, none of this other tutting, waving, other stuff. But I really feel like I understand why she lost, because she developed an idea of robotic technique, but also remember that's a top 16. There was probably a top 32 that happened in a prelims. She does robot, one of the best robot performers in the world. Her and then Robo, oh my gosh. Oh, I forgot his name. Why did I? Dr. Robo, something like that. Oh man, I met him at Ways Within, and he even told me his real name and I forgot. Oh goodness, I'm not a good rememberer. Anyway, this is where creativity, like creative stamina would come in, where with Yaya, if she did the same concept, she didn't dive into like other types of fundamental popping genres within, there's a good chance that if Blondie showcased that more, then they would give him the win. So I understand why she lost, but also she held her own so well, and it's very impressive to be able to do that style. So I don't know if I would say that it's gimmicky. I would say that it's more of a not as wide in range. With battles, you have to not only showcase really good technique, you have to show a wide range of the innovations within the techniques you give. So a lot of times if you stick your guns to a particular branch of popping, I would say robot, if you really stick there and you don't really channel other vibes or other technical elements of popping, then you can run into the issue of it being not stagnant, but it can be something that there needs to be more variety compared to who you're against. Do you know what I mean? Compared to y'all's both creative stamina, because they're logging that too over the course of the competition. So I don't know if I would use the word gimmicky, but I totally understand what they're saying though. Like it can come across not as ideal, I think. And see, I don't quite know what they're saying here. Blah, 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 proves to be an all-arounder. It's incredible that she doesn't just shine on stage, but can enter high-level battles. Yeah, people need to understand she was a crumper first before she did popping. Like, the fact that she can hold her own in popping and crump, as well as she can. Like, she's one of the heaviest hitters in Crumb. Like, she's one of the most respectable women I think I've ever seen in the circuit, for sure. Incredible. So I don't really know what they're saying right here because of the thumbnails, and I think that's okay, but I honestly, this is what I was expecting. And I'm very much, I like facts and fiction a lot so far. It kind of met my expectations, and I'm very glad that I can agree with pretty much all of it. I love it. It's great. I like feeling like I'm not the only one that's bringing up some of these things with some of these battles. It's nice to see somebody else kind of cover these topics too. So thank you, Facts and Fiction. I don't know if you'll watch this, and that's fine if you don't, but hey, I salute to you. I really do appreciate you talking through this. For me, I tend to, a lot of these types of topics that they're referencing, I typically cover within the battle as I see it happen. And I will say, just my only note, that maybe I'll need to watch another one before I like say this as an actual note, but because there's no tone behind the verbiage, I do feel like sometimes if somebody watches this and they have more of a different headspace, like let's say more of a negative headspace watching it, they could take more offense to it. Or if somebody who is more vulnerable could be more emotionally affected by some of the verbiage. But all in all, though, what they said, I don't think really any of it was technically wrong. I didn't really disagree with any of it, and I'm really happy about the fact that I can very confidently back that. And I think this was really fun, very informative, and I hope that a lot of people learned a lot of stuff, and I hope that the comments were cordial, because I know for me too, whenever I speak more, when I have more of a controversial perspective on either a battle or choreography, or if I'm viewing something not in as much of a positive light as I think people would expect me to view it as, I am more susceptible personally to receiving comments that have more of a negative connotation to it, but I don't shy away from those because I think those are important to talk through and discuss through, just like the positive ones. So that's why I do try to answer all of the comments, especially the ones that have a more negative, like, I don't agree with you at all. For me, let's have a conversation, let's talk through it, because I want you and I to understand each other, or to learn something new from each other, you know? Because I don't know everything, and I know whoever's in charge of this channel, I know they're not coming at it from they know everything, but they just have a very particular scope. And so far, I think that they've been helping a lot of people, at least in this context with this video. It's a great start for me. I like this, and I kind of want to check out more, and I think I will. This is great. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, like with Facts and Fiction or other types of channels that cover these types of topics, let me know in the comments. I know on Patreon sometimes that gets brought up too, and I'm definitely very open to exploring this realm because it is very different, and I think these topics are just as important as analyzing choreography. I think this is really fun. If you want to see more of that, I release everything early on Patreon, so if you're somebody who likes to binge watch K-pop groups, because I have a couple marathons that are actively ongoing, as well as some finished marathons like 17, where a lot of it's not released on YouTube yet, but if you're a fan of a particular group, you can go over there and binge to your heart's content, no problem. But if you're okay with waiting it out on YouTube, I will be making an effort to get it on YouTube as well. So I am Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye!